Ladies and gentlemen, today is February 24th, 2015. And this is the KNKL Show, episode 210. I'm your host, Keenan Lafferty, and today we are going to be jumping back into the good old splash art, or like you guys like to call it, splash fart, because it is fan art. Put them together, get it? Splash fart. We're going to be working on AHRI anyway. And we're going to be continuing with where we left off last week. Obviously, you can see I've gotten a little bit of work done. We're going to be getting back into that. But before we do that, we need to take a look at some awesome art. Awesome art coming in from you guys at the Facebook. So if you guys want to see this, if you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description. Or you can type in that little tiny URL at the bottom and you can go see these awesome pieces for yourself, especially this Yasuo. Look at that. Super cool. So yeah, thank you guys for submitting. As always, you can go to the Facebook, like it, and all that good stuff, and you can submit your own artwork. Come on over. We got cookies. You know the deal. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the time lapse. Where we left off last week was we finished up our color comps, and now we're going to start moving into overpainting. OP, we are approaching the late game of our painting, and like the AD carry, we have farmed up a good amount of CS, and we can buy our Infinity Edge and Yoma'a's Ghostblade. I know it's Yamu's, but I like to call it Yoma'a's Ghostblade. And yeah, what other items are there? The freaking Blade of the Ruined King. We're Blade of the Ruined King all up in here, taking down that Alistar, and we're moving into the late game. So, all right, that's enough League references. Let's get into the painting, shall we? Moving into the OP stage. And I'm going to be doing some of this, real time. We'll be moving into real time because there is something very important that I want to discuss with you today. And that is figuring out how to basically choose your colors, right? Because you might come to me and say, Keenan, I have this blue light, this blue orb of light that is going to be lighting the side of my character's face. But what color does a blue light make when it interacts with tan skin? What color comes back? What color do we see? And I'm going to show you a very easy way about how to predict that and basically choose your colors properly. Along with, hey, it's like a red fabric, but then over here, as the shadow goes into like this dark purple, then how does the light interact with it on the other side? And you'll see me kind of flipping the canvas back and forth all the time. It's a little annoying, but that is the way a pro works. He likes to confuse his viewers, so that way they never really quite figure out his technique. He covers his tracks, right? Covers his tracks so they can't see. No, I'm just kidding. The reason why we do that, as I have said many times before, is because you want to make sure that you're getting fresh eyes on the painting. And oftentimes when you're working on something for even just half an hour, you'll start to see things, especially I do this a lot when I'm working on the face. You'll start to see things a little bit differently than somebody who would just walk behind your shoulder and tell you how much your painting sucks, right? Obviously, they're seeing it differently than you, and you need to make sure that you flip it and look at it with fresh eyes, because then you'll be able to pick out your little mistakes. You'll see, oh, that eye looks like it's kind of getting sucked to the side of the head. Let's go ahead and move that back, shrink up that nose. I think a problem that I eventually ran into here that you'll see me fix is that as I began to paint Ari's lips, they started to feel a little bit shriveled, like kind of small. And so what I end up doing is I go in, and because I took breaks and because I flipped the canvas, I saw that. More so because I took a break. Oftentimes the best way to get fresh eyes on something is to just let your painting sit there for a day, sleep on it, come back to it the next morning, and you will see the things that you need to do. So right at the beginning of this one, you'll see me adjust the lips. Barely. I mean, I'll show you the actual layer that I actually go in and do it. But yeah, just taking breaks, referring to our color comp, our glorious color comp over here, because we like those colors. Now we're just kind of expanding upon that color comp, and we're adding in our details. So yeah, a lot of this is just like overpainting stuff, but I will talk to you a little bit about blending, some other techniques that I do, because I will be doing this, like I said, real time. So don't worry, don't pay attention too much. This is just entertainment. This is just entertainment for now. Then we'll be moving into the actual tutorial, real-time tutorial after this. And you might be wondering why I am talking so much, trying to make sure that things are very clear, The reason why is because I just recently started doing a new online school called Skillshare, right? Or it's not like an online school. It's like, I don't know. It's like a Netflix where you can basically go on and just like watch like the top artists from any given field, top, entrepreneurs, or basically top anything. Like you want to learn from them. They have awesome videos on this site called Skillshare, and they have recently invited me to become one of their teachers. And I'm going to be producing a class on webcomics, which is going to be awesome. So that's going to be up later this week. I will update you guys when that goes live, and I'll have a special little vanity link that you can click, so that way I get credit for referring you over to the site. You can take a look and join my class if you want to do webcomics. And later on, I'll be doing, obviously, stuff like this. We'll be talking about, painting and all that stuff. But right now it's time to get into some real-time action. Real-time action. Let's talk about blending. Let's talk about a few things here, because we got to talk about choosing colors, blending, and there was a third thing, but I totally forgot it. So let's just go ahead and get started with color picking. Okay, so back to our original question. You're asking me, Keenan, what color is the light of this ball going to create on Ari's face, right? Because we have this blue light. Let's go ahead and pull out our color picker. And you're going to want to ask yourself, okay, so we got this blue light, and then when it touches the face, it turns, watch here, watch what happens here. It turns desaturated purple. How did you get that? How did you know that that was the right color to pick? In fact, I don't really even know if that's the right color, but it looks good. But it does follow a concept that I will teach you right now. And that is basically, oh, look at this. Look how it goes right here. That's gray. Gray. Very interesting, right? All right, so now I'm going to explain a very easy concept to you. I always wondered about this. I was like, how the heck do I choose? Like, at what point does it turn blue on a red, fabric, right? At what point does it like turn blue? And so, okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just focus on color picking. A general rule of thumb that I want you guys to understand is that I want you to think about your local colors, which is another fancy way of saying the real color. So basically you have this blue ball, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and take that color, put it right there, okay? And then you're going to have your skin color, but this is not the actual skin color. This is sort of like, you want to think about a tan skin color as sort of like up here, sort of like that, right? So you'll notice on the color slider that this is sort of like an orange. It's like an orange and a blue. So a good way to obviously understand what you're going to do is, I used to do this. I used to just kind of like take some of this blue and then kind of stick it on there, right? And what do you have now? You have like a kind of a grayish. And this is close to what you're going to get. This is very close to what you're going to get with your lighting. And this is the principle that I want to teach you today. And that is, whatever your light source is and whatever the color it's interacting with, it is going to mix together. So in this case, it's going to be blue and orange, right? Which together already make sort of like a brown, right? Or they'll neutralize each other and become sort of a gray, right? So you'll have something kind of like this, right? But the other important thing to consider with skin is that during the transitionary periods, there's going to be some more red thrown in there. So notice how we're right here. This is a very complicated subject, but I thought I could explain it simply, but I'm doing my best, okay? So we're going to want to introduce some more red in there, because remember how I talked about subsurface scattering, the red blood vessels underneath your skin? That is going to cause us to pull our slider up towards red. See what happens when we introduce more red to this? It becomes purple. Becomes more purplish. So that's basically what I think of when I create my skin tones. And you can see that's basically the exact color that we're using right in here. So two colors come together, your light and your object. Those colors mix and will desaturate. That's the other important thing. You want to make sure that they desaturate. You don't want to just take, okay, we got, red here, and then like blue, and then it makes that color. It makes like this color. The other thing that you want to consider is that it will darken and desaturate a bit. So you're going to have something more like this. And look, can you see where that color lines up here? Well, actually, it's a little brighter, but you see what I'm talking about. So it desaturates darkens most of the time, and then desaturates. Saturate, darken, desaturate, darken. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Okay, now let's talk about blending. If that wasn't confusing enough, don't worry, because we're going to go on to an even more confusing subject, and that is blending. And you might ask me, Keenan, how do you get these perfectly little, how do you get these perfect blended marks with no brush strokes at all? I mean, besides the hours that you take, like mindlessly, like sitting here and like blending it, right? How do you go about it? What's an easy way to do it? What's an easy way to do it? All right, so here's an example, because here's something that I'll probably end up going in and fixing later. See how you can still see a little bit of the brush strokes happening in this gradient here? The way that I go about fixing this is, first of all, I am going to create a new layer. New layer over top of everything. This is our OP layer. You know we're working over top of everything. And I'm basically going to pick my soft brush. Usually I like to work with my chalk brush because it has that really cool texture, right? But right now we're going to do a soft brush. And we're basically going to do our Alt-click method, where we take our left hand, place it upon that Alt button, and we're going to click right there. And now we're going to start blending those lines, pressing very lightly. And you can see how now the edges of those brush strokes now begin to fade away into nothingness. Brush strokes be gone. Brush strokes be gone. And you can see, boom, there you go. Now you have that same effect. And the other thing that I like to do is I'll click it off, click it on. You can see now we have successfully blended those lines away. And that's basically what you go about doing, for basically everything. And the nice thing about doing it on its own layer is sometimes you'll do one of these things. You'll be like, okay, I want to blend the edge of the face. And you'll do this, and then it'll kind of have this glow on the edge, and you don't really want that. So, because it's on its own layer, you can go back in with your eraser, and you can trim it up nice and proper. Okay? And for those of you who are curious about my technique and my philosophy with splash art, is basically the insides of the objects are very smooth, right? So for instance, the skin. And then on the edges, right? Edges of the face and all this stuff, you want to make sure those are really, really sharp. Really, really sharp edges. Because that's basically what takes the splash from looking painterly to really, really clean. So you can make it seriously, like, I like to have some semblance of softness to it, but some people literally like to go in there with like you could take like an ink brush, or I've seen even people do like, fine, we'll just do an ink brush, which is basically like the hardest edge you can possibly get. And then they'll literally do stuff like this. But I don't really like my edges to be that clean. Like you can see it. It just feels a little bit off to have it be that sharp. So a little bit of softness is nice. But in general, soft on the inside, chiseled on the outside. Right. Just like a good man. Soft heart, chiseled body. That's the way you can remember it right there. All right, you people. So, because I can't remember that last thing that I was going to do, let's go ahead and load up the question catapults. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please cast your questions over the castle walls. I'll answer them. I'll answer them, and then we'll end this awesome daily. It's awesome daily. I can tell my energy is just really good. Really, really good. I've been changing up my rituals lately. Changing up my rituals throughout my day, and I've been just feeling a little more gregarious, you know what I mean? Just feeling really good. So anyway, I remember the third thing I was going to say. The third thing I was going to talk about is this hand right here. This is originally what I was going to do with you guys. Now you might be wondering, and let's cycle through some of these OP layers, because I'm sure you guys are curious. You're curious about these OP layers. I know you are. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you real good. What is on this layer? Nothing. Okay, great. All right, so let's take a look at what the OP layers actually do. What did the OP layers actually do? Well, it takes us from here. This is where we started. And now we are to here. Very good. Big changes. Helps to round out the forms. Rounds out the forms. Add some nice lighting to it. Rim light on the boobs there. That's the most important part. We don't want to lose that because somebody actually said something funny. Like in the old AHRI splash art, it's like totally like all about her chest. And in this one, it's a little bit like the upshot makes it so you don't see as much of like the cleavage, but I made sure that you guys weren't disappointed. So I hope you guys like this rendition as well, because we wanted to make sure that we have, remember our 3 keywords for those of you who have been watching the whole series: powerful, sexy, and mysterious. But most importantly, powerful. And I feel like in her old splash, there wasn't enough of a sense of power to her. She's a very powerful champion. But anyway, let's talk about this hand, because this is what I'm working on right now. And let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions for you. Okay. Good questions coming in. I will answer those in just a moment. But let's talk about this hand. So many of you know that I like to use photo references for certain things, right? And for instance, this hand, right? I actually took a picture literally of my hand, and you can see how I am using it. Basically, I'm taking the forms. I mean, this is kind of like the lighting isn't exactly the same, but it's kind of close enough, right? And I can kind of just use it and work with it. But the most important part is just figuring out like the flow of these fingers. See how the flow of the fingers works like perfectly? I really, really dig it when stuff like that happens. So I emulated that with this hand. And now I'm basically just painting it and using it for that reason. And the other reason why I like to use photo references for things that are close up is because the closer something is to you, the more detail it's going to have. So the challenge I'm going to have here is making this look like a realistic hand without drawing too many wrinkles and making it look kind of like old or like a witch hand, which, well, I don't know, maybe it could look a little evil, because I want it to look slightly evil but still kind of dainty, like an interesting mix that we have to obtain here. All right, so let's answer a couple questions. Okay, good question. Matthew is asking, how can you make the light and the dark with a high contrast still come out believable? Oh, okay, this is a good question, Matthew. And this is something, okay, this has to do with exposure. And basically a good way of saying this is like, look at how white this is right here, like her sleeve. And then it kind of drops off. Like this is supposed to be like a cast shadow from the main light source that's coming from behind her, which could be like the moon or whatever, you know? And basically you're talking about like getting these high contrasts and making them look believable. And I think the most important part is just having it be consistent. I really wish that this was something that I could explain in like 5 minutes, but really what you're looking to do is basically you're wanting to learn about exposure. And I actually did a tutorial on exposure. If you want to go check that out, if you just go on my channel and type in exposure, you'll see the tutorial that I talked about doing that in. And hopefully that'll help you out. All right, next question coming in from Hiro Takamura from Tokyo, maybe a fan. He or she is asking, any advice for getting noticed as an artist? Yes, I have great advice for that. One is post on my Facebook. I'll get you noticed. You'll get noticed by me real good if you post on the Facebook. And second of all is whatever you like to do, whatever franchise you're interested in, make sure you're posting on forums. Make sure you're participating in art contests. If you want to start selling your art, another really great way to get noticed is to go to conventions, get a booth. A lot of these smaller conventions, you can get started for like as little as like $200 for a booth. And then you can sell your prints for like $10 each. And that's like a steal, right? And then like, do you think you could sell 20 prints in like 2 days? It's like, you're easily going to get all your money back at least. And you're going to get a bunch of exposure. Thousands of people walking through your booth. So find some local cons. Meet maybe some local artists if there's any sort of like functions or anything going on. Meet people, go to conventions, and post on forums. That's my best advice. And make a show. Why not? Do lots of fan art. All right, last question coming in from Swiss Fonda. Then we're going to end today. You guys have been great, by the way. Thank you. Thank you for your awesome questions. And Swiss Fonda is asking, do I listen to music while painting or do I get distracted? I like to switch off between music. I like to listen to stuff called chill step, which is basically the stuff that I was playing before we began the show. Sort of like really relaxed stuff. Just type in chill step on YouTube. It'll give you a bunch of really cool, sort of like ambient. It's kind of like dubstep, but it's more like kind of relaxed. It's not very jarring. It's very, I don't know, it's a little more mellow. So I like to switch off between that and motivational talks because I think it's very, very important for you to not only develop your skills as an artist, your technical skills, but you want to make sure that you're staying on top of your mental game because it's amazing how much technical, like you can look at this, right? And it's like, whoa, Keenan, you're like a pro. You must just sit down and feel like you can do this at any time. You just sit down and just magic flows out of your hands. And you probably don't have any creative doubts or creative blocks that stand in your way, right? And actually the opposite is true. The opposite is true. It's something that I struggle with every day. Creative blocks are always going to be there, but that's why you listen to motivational talks and things that can sort of maybe like give you new frameworks, new principles that you can start to live your life by. And a lot of them have to do with discipline, organizing your day, and just kind of retaining a positive state of mind. So I would recommend that to you. Check out positive. Okay. Well, I have a bunch of great. Let me just start with Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is probably the best motivational speaker I've ever heard. It's Jim, and his last name is Rohn. If you type that into YouTube, you will get some of the best stuff you've ever heard in terms of motivational speaking. I love to listen to that and chill step. Alrighty, people. With that, we're going to end today's show. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, my energy is like, I feel like I have an abundance of energy. I just don't know what to do with myself. I feel good. I'm definitely going to be working on this some more this evening, along with playing some video games. But you guys take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys very soon. I'll probably be making an announcement video on Thursday about my Skillshare class going live, so you guys can join up and make some webcomics with me. But until then, you guys take care.